the manual transmission, otherwise known as America's greatest anti-theft device. It's one of the most basic things that you can get into whenever getting into the car community, but it's almost like it's something that you have to know how to do. And I believe that it's something that everyone should know how to do. And just so you guys know, for your information, today I'm going to be explaining this to you in a 2008 Subaru WRX STI. Now, while that's not necessarily relevant to the video, I know a lot of you might ask, so there's that. Learning how to drive a manual is one of the most exciting and fun things you can do with a car. The reason I say that is because there's nothing that separates you and your vehicle more than, in my opinion, an automatic. Even though in most instances a dual shift gearbox is faster, there's nothing like the feeling of just being 100% connected to your car than like the feeling of just being able to push through your gears and boost. Nothing beats the feeling of you just having absolute control over your car. And that's the one thing that just separates being able to drive a manual transmission. That's one thing that just makes it so desirable among so many different people. So without further ado, I'm going to explain to you the first and most fundamental thing on how to drive it, and that's how to get going. Getting started, literally, on a stoplight, on a hill, anything like that, is the most important thing about driving a manual. Because, to be honest, once you're moving, it is not difficult to drive because all you're doing is shifting through gears. Getting going is one of the most, it's the biggest thing that puts the most pressure on the driver because you don't want to stall when somebody is behind you, or the last thing you want to do is roll into somebody that's behind you on a hill. Now, the hill technique is going to be something for a different video. However, what I'm going to show you today should give you a good general understanding and a good grasp, a firm grasp on the whole concept of driving the manual. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and look at the key parts of the manual transmission. Like I said a second ago, there are a few bits and pieces to the manual car that are a little bit different than what you're used to and what you're familiar with. And there are also a couple more things that I'm going to point out for you as well. So I'll go ahead and get to explaining those. So you're going to walk into this car, this manual car of yours, and you're going to notice a few different things. Well, one of the first things you'll notice is, well, now I have this large stick in the middle of my dash. Pretty much every factory car will have a shift knob that says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6, and they'll always have an R on it. Well, what in the world do these mean? It's very simple. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are going to be the gears. My car happens to be a 6-speed, so I can go first gear, it's in first gear right now, and go second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and then my reverse is always over here. The R is reverse, and what I have to do is I actually have to pull this little lever up right here, which is actually already in, pull this little lever up, push all the way over, it's by sixth, and then I'm in reverse. So it's as simple as that. The differences between the gears. First is going to actually be the largest gear, and it's going to produce the most torque. It's also going to be the lowest speed gear. So first gear, you're going to be rolling around in like a parking lot. That's what you're going to start off in. You're pretty much never ever going to start off in second unless, I mean, you shouldn't have a reason to. That's it. Then you have second gear. When you move into second gear, you are moving a little bit faster. Third gear, again, a little bit faster. Fourth gear, faster. Fifth gear, or your overdrive, depending on how many speeds you have, is going to be your highest gear. And then boom, my highest gear is sixth gear, and I have no torque in that gear. That's just my overdrive, my driving gear. That's it. And that's going to be that. And obviously reverse is going to be fairly self-explanatory. All you do is you slap it over there and you start going in reverse. If you didn't notice the gear shift first, I'm sure you probably noticed something a little bit different. There are now 3 pedals you have to worry about. You've got the gas pedal, you've got the brake pedal, and then you've got the man pedal. And I don't mean to say that. I mean, I know plenty of women that drive manuals. And then you have a beautiful little decorative muddy footrest. And yeah, that's about it. And then you got some nasty, So, in all seriousness, what in the world is this third pedal? You've got your gas pedal, you've got your brake pedal, and then, no, that's not an emergency brake pedal. No, that is not your go fast. Anyways, this is your clutch pedal. The whole idea behind the clutch is, well, to be honest, clutch is home for you guys whenever you first start driving. Whenever it's pressed all the way in, and it's really freaking hard to do that with your hand, when it's pressed all the way in, your clutch is actually disengaged from your transmission. When it's out, like this, like it's in the position right now, it's actually engaged and it is latched onto your transmission. The most essential point, if you take anything from this tutorial today, the biggest thing you need to take home from today is that every single clutch has a catching point, and that little catching point is what's going to allow you to start moving. The easiest way to figure out how to get rolling in a manual transmission is to push the clutch all the way in, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to let it out very, very, very slowly. And this is why I said I want you guys to be in a secluded parking lot, because this can take some time figuring out exactly where it is. Anyways, back to that point, somewhere along the disengage and the engage point, there is a point to where your clutch starts to latch on and you start moving. That point is where you want to pinpoint that, and then from there you can start moving. And whenever your car starts moving, which I will show you this in a little bit, you want to start giving it gas. But there are also a couple more methods that I'm going to show you along with that. Next, you're going to have this lovely little stick right behind your stick shift. What in the world is this? I'm going to tell you. This is your drift button. Boom! Not really. It's not your drift button. It is actually your parking brake, your emergency brake, whatever you want to call it. What is it used for? Well, it is not used for drifting. Well, it is, but we're not going to get into that today. That's going to be a different tutorial. But what it is basically it's a brake. It's got a line, and as soon as you pull it up like that, your car will not move, and it's amazing because it is a lifesaver in a parking lot. However, your parking brake is not the only thing that will save you from moving whenever you are parked or stopped. When your car is in the off position and you get out of your car, you always want to make sure that your car is in gear. The reason why is because if your car is in neutral, it is free to roll around. So if this little guy for some reason becomes useless and it breaks, like the brake line snaps, anything like that, your car is now going to start rolling because it is not in a gear. So for extra safety, you can put it in any gear you want. You can put it in first, you can put it in literally any gear, but the reasoning behind that is because if it does happen, your car being in gear will save you from rolling into somebody else, which would probably be pretty expensive to have to repair yours and someone else's car. Even though, that's why we love insurance. Last but not least, we have one of my favorite things. Not really, it's not my favorite thing at all, but it is absolutely essential that you know exactly what is in front of you in your dash. So the main thing, boom, tachometer. Your tachometer will show you the revolutions per minute that you are running. Excuse my nasty zooming capabilities. But basically, in an automatic, you don't have to pay attention to this. This is going to be the first vehicle you actually have to pay attention to what RPMs you're running. And typically, you're not ever going to want to reach red line, which is right here for me, where those little dots start. You want to start, if you're just driving around, you want to start shifting at about 3,500 RPMs, and this goes by 1,000. So if you've never known what that meant, well, that is what it means. The RPMs shows the revolutions per minute that your engine is running. The higher it is running, typically the more fuel you are using. But also the faster you will go in most cases. But that's also something we can get into another time. Aside from the tachometer, you have your engine temperature. That is actually where you get the term cold start and warm start. If your gauge is in the middle or wherever your car is whenever it's hot, that's going to be your difference between your cold start and your warm start. Also, you're going to have your fuel gauge. My car likes to consume lots of fuel. So, that's going to be about it. Everybody knows what a fuel gauge is. If you don't know what a fuel gauge is, well, that's not something I'm just going to explain in this video. That just shows how much gas you have. And then, of course, you got to pay attention to this because nobody likes getting tickets. You want to always pay attention to how fast you are going. And that's also just something you'll get used to My voice just cracked, which if you've watched my videos before, it does it all the time, so we love it. But yeah, so you want to pay attention to how fast you're running your RPMs, and you want to be aware of when you need to shift. And I will show you guys that here in a little bit, but that is it for that. So now that you guys know the fundamental pieces of the car, you're going to need to know how to start it. This is not as easy of a process as it is in an automatic because there are a few steps. Obviously, you're going to want to take your keys and you're going to want to put it into the right there. And then it's going to beep at you because you don't have your seatbelt on. And I'm going to go ahead and prime my fuel pump. And my radar detector is going to be screaming at me. And then what you're going to want to do in a manual is, well, you don't want to do this. You actually have to do this. You don't have a choice. You're going to push in the clutch with your foot. Boom, like that. Otherwise, if it's not all the way in, your car will not start. So don't try to start it without pushing the clutch in. And also, once it is started, don't take your foot off the clutch because you're going to be in gear and you don't want to stall as soon as you start. So here's what you're going to want to do. Put your foot there. While your foot is there, boom, turn the key fob, or turn whatever the heck you want. So go, boom, and now my car is running and my freaking radar detector needs to shut up. So now we've got past that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it out of gear. I'm going to put it in neutral, and the best way to tell if you're in neutral is to shake it. If it shakes like this, then it's in neutral. If it's in a gear, it ain't going to shake like that. So what you want to do, this is what I always do when I come to a stop, is I always shake it, and you will see most people that drive a manual, you will see most of them do that whenever they are driving. So that's going to be about it, and now we're going to move on to how to actually get going. Alright, now moving on to how to actually start the car. Like I had said before, there are a couple ways I'm going to show you how to do this, but the most important thing, the first thing you want to do is you want to learn the actual catching spot of the clutch. That means basically whenever you disengage or you turn off your parking brake like this, parking brake is off. Okay, now I'm going to push my foot in on the clutch, and after I do that, I'm going to put it in gear. You have to have your clutch disengaged or your foot all the way in to actually put it in gear, or it will grind the gear. You have to push the clutch in every time you do anything to do with changing gears at all times. So like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my foot off the brake. Now I'm going to slowly let out my clutch, and there will be a point to where my car actually starts rolling. So right now my car is rolling. I'm going to give it a little bit of gas. And as simple as that, my clutch is out and I am moving. Wow, that wasn't very difficult at all. Now the next step to doing this is to push your clutch in once again while you're moving and to shift into your next gear. Now I'm in second gear. All you got to do is pretty much do the same thing, but miniaturized. And again, if I want to do the same thing going into third gear, I push my clutch in and I go into third gear. That's wonderful, isn't it? That was a little bit easier than you probably thought. Now that you basically know how to start in a secluded parking lot, which that was basically the method I wanted you guys to learn, I want to show you guys how to do it on the street. Because you're going to feel a little bit more pressured into doing this, you're going to want to act a little bit quicker. So one of the key things I figured out was best for me on the streets is I want to give it a little bit of gas before I start engaging the clutch or slowly letting my foot out. And I always said, I would rather give it a little bit too much gas than have to stop and actually stall the car and then get it going again. So what I'm going to do is, just pretend the light has just turned green. I'm already in gear. So instead of letting it out slowly, I'm going to actually give it a little bit of gas first, and then I'm going to slowly let out the clutch. And the key is you really want to make it slow. I cannot exaggerate that what you think is slow whenever you first start driving, I promise you will not be slow. You need to kind of over-exaggerate it because honestly, taking a little bit longer to successfully start is always better than taking forever, than stalling, and then having to do it again. And I can't tell you one of the worst things about driving a manual is stalling in front of somebody and having somebody honk at you, because, you know, America or anywhere else in the world, everybody's impatient and nobody likes to wait. So anyways, the best way to prevent you from stalling is to give it gas before you start letting out the clutch. That is one of the best methods. Before we go any further with this, I want to let you guys know, you will stall your car. That is inevitable. It's like somebody just beginning to skate or somebody just beginning to play guitar. You're going to mess up. You're going to mess up once or twice. But with enough practice and you giving yourself enough time to figure things out, I promise you, you will get it eventually. It may take a day, it may take a week, it may take up to a month. And it will not be perfectly smooth at first. It will probably be somewhat shaky and it'll be you're just going to start going everywhere. But if you stall your car, it is not the end of the world. And I will go ahead and I will stall my car and I will show you exactly what to do when you do stall it, so you know what to do. Yeah. As much as I really don't want to stall my car for you guys, I'm going to do it anyways. So I'm going to put it into first gear and I'm going to just let it go. And it's going to, oh wow, okay. So I didn't even press the gas and my car just started moving. I guess I gotta let it out a little bit slower. And oh, I hate this, I hate it. And it's gonna jump. There we go. Right there, I just went. So what you're gonna wanna do is you wanna turn the key off, okay? Just turn the key off. You don't have to take it out. You're going to turn the key back on. Everything's going to kick back on, and your radar detector is going to get thrown out the freaking window because I hate you. What you're going to do is you're simply going to put your foot back on the clutch, and it's going to jump a little bit more. You're going to turn the car back on, and you are going to proceed. Not that difficult. It is really easy. So when you do stall, and I'm telling you, you will, don't freak out. The best thing to do in that situation is to just keep a peace of mind. So when you do that, just keep in mind, you just want to be calm. Just turn the key off, turn it back on, put your foot on the clutch, make sure it's in gear, and keep proceeding, keep driving. That is going to be one of the scariest things you will encounter, but that is how you're going to get going. So now you guys know how to start, just like this. You let it out really slowly, and you just start going. Push the clutch in, shift to the next gear. Same thing again. Push the clutch in, shift to the next gear. Now, the nice thing is, for you guys, the hardest part is over. The hardest part of learning how to drive a manual, you guys should be smiling right now. The hardest part about you driving a manual is literally just getting going. Getting going is the hardest thing, and it's the most, it's the biggest thing that puts the most pressure on the driver. So now that you know how to do that, after you practice it for a little while, it will become just a motor movement for you, and you won't even have to think about it. Whenever I actually when I made my first how-to video a couple years ago, I had only been driving for about 2 months, and it was already just a motor thing. I didn't even have to think about it at all, and you won't either. It's going to be a thing that it's just simple. It just happens, which is nice. Just because, you know, it's a little bit less to think about when you're driving, and you can focus on more important and different things. Before we end this tutorial, I will tell you guys this. What I said in the beginning of the video, I said clutch is basically home for you guys, and I will explain why. The clutch, whenever you press it in, obviously you know by now, it completely disengages you from the transmission. So whenever you press your clutch in, what that's doing is it's basically just letting you roll. So if you ever feel like you're just jolting, you're moving, anything like that, you just need to know clutch is home. Clutch is home. You just boom, just clutch, just hit the clutch, just boom, clutch. That's the 2 words you need to know is boom, clutch. That's what you need to take from today. That's the second thing you need to take from today, actually. So remember, you need to clutch if you feel like you're under pressure, you're wobbly, you're jiggly. I'm not talking about like if you got a big tummy or anything like that, you know, I'm not saying anything about stomachs, but if your car is jiggling or if it's just, you know, shaking, hit the clutch, because that is the easiest thing for you to do. And then think about it for a second while you're coasting, and then put it back in gear and keep going, keep trying, because really the whole thing you're trying to do is avoid stalling, and that is going to be one of the best ways to avoid it. Another thing before I go is in America, because nobody teaches us really how to drive manuals, aside from this video, a big thing that I didn't even know until about a year after I started driving manual is, whenever you're driving, you want to keep your car in gear. You want to avoid being in neutral and clutching as much as you can. It seems a little bit contradictory to what I just said, but once you start getting the hang of it, you want to make sure you clutch as little as possible. Or what I'm saying is, you don't want to be rolling in neutral to a stop. Whenever you're going, like now, I'm going. Okay, stop sign's ahead. I'm not going to take it out of gear. I'm going to let the car go as low as I possibly can in third gear, or I'm going to downshift into second gear, which I will show you guys how to do that in a further video. But you want to keep the car in gear as long as you can. The reason why is because whenever you're going, say 50 miles an hour, and the car is in neutral, or you have the clutch in, it puts unnecessary stress on the transmission and the clutch as well. So basically what you want to do is you just want to keep it in gear, because one, like I said, it puts stress on your transmission and your drivetrain as a whole. Two, your car is electronically fuel injected. That means you're not saving gas if you put it in neutral and rolling to a stop. You're actually using more gas, believe it or not. So while rolling to a stop, your computer is actually managing how much fuel is put into your motor. So you can actually save gas by rolling to a stop in gear. Thank you guys so incredibly much for participating in my how-to video. I really hope it helped you guys out. If you do have any questions regarding the getting started process, please feel free to comment down in the comment section. I do check my inbox quite often, and any question, there's no such thing as a stupid question, especially for something as complicated as getting started with driving a manual. So if you do have any questions regarding this, or if you have any concerns, or even if you have any suggestions for a future how-to video, please let me know. I plan on, this is the first part of the series, I do plan on making a how-to downshift video, a rev match video, and then also how to start on a hill, how to drive in traffic. I have a few other plans, but if you have anything aside from that, please don't hesitate to let me know, because I would be more than happy to help you guys out with the getting started and driving process. Thank you guys again for watching, and now I will proceed to show you how to properly get the heck out of wherever you're going. Now I'm going to drive in reverse for about 15 minutes. Can I boost in reverse? Oh, that's kind of scary. Oh, that's a different experience right there. I'm gonna have to teach people how to boost in reverse. Hee hee.